No, let's start again. Michelangelo, he's one of my all-time favorite pianists for very many different reasons. I think I first heard this album when I was about 14 or 15 years old, and it really changed the way I think about piano sound. Something about the way he creates sound on the piano makes me think in terms of space and spaciousness, like distance. So what he can do, Michelangelo, with piano sonority, he can create this kind of three-dimensionality. You know, you really feel that, you know, certain elements in the sound are very close to you and different ones are a little bit further away, and maybe some other elements in the sound are like in a different room almost. And when he does that to, you know, this repertoire, Debussy, it really becomes like a painting. You know, you really do see things in the foreground and you see surrounding things and something somewhere in the distance, you know, a bird is flying. Wow, Sakamoto. Yeah, he's a more recent hero of mine than Michelangelo. Sakamoto, you know, is somehow connected, I think, to France, and you know, it's a very logical album in this chain. There's something between the Japanese culture and the French culture. There's something about the sensuality. I had a huge privilege of having Sakamoto do a little collaboration with me for a project based on Bach for my last album on Deutsche Grammophon. And he took an interpretation of mine of a Bach piece and he completely rethought it. And it sort of shows you how much Bach has influenced extraordinarily different musicians. And what Sakamoto does, he is as refined and as detailed as any electric musician I know. Jón Leifs is the modernist father of all Icelandic music. He's the first really kind of serious, what shall we say, avant-garde almost composer. He was really an enfant terrible. He did horrible things, really, I mean, according to his contemporaries at least, who were used to everything sounding like Schumann and Grieg. He was not afraid of just completely breaking all the rules, going his own ways. That's more easy now in the 21st century than it was when he was really a young man, which would have been in rather, you know, the earliest 20th century. When Iceland was a completely different place. He went abroad and he got some fame actually, but you know, he had a very, very difficult life. He was a very misunderstood man. I have all of the Rachmaninoff cycles of Ashkenazi, at least the 4 that have been sort of commercially published. You know, the 72 cycle, I think, with Previn was much more sort of, it was lighter and maybe more lyrical. This one is more modern in a way. It's more sort of percussive. It has a kind of sort of ruthless energy in some of the sections. While of course you have the beautiful, direct, incredible cantabile of Vova Ashkenazi. I love him so much, and I actually played one of those pieces with him, the 3rd concerto. You know, before we went on stage to play this piece, he said to me, you know, kill them all. And I always remember that. I hope I didn't kill anyone. Vespertine by Björk. I think it's maybe my favorite Björk album. It has one of my favorite songs, Hidden Place. It's an incredible song. It has a motive that you can actually find very strongly in Stjernberg's Verklärte Nacht. What I love about Björk is that she never goes into the formulaic process of music making. You know, with every album you have no idea what's happening. Many pianists say that he is their favorite pianist. You know, I can sort of join that group in a way, but I already said that Michelangelo is also like my favorite pianist. I have a few, but this one is very special, and I think about him all the time actually. I'm now 36 years old, I just turned, and he was 33 when he passed away from leukemia in 1950. I have all of his recordings, literally every single one of them. The one I actually like the best is not this one, but the one where he plays this repertoire, the waltzes, all except one, in the last recital. That was, I think, something like 6 weeks before he died or something like that. It's very special. But these waltzes, I mean, the way he plays them, it's extremely difficult to do what he does because it's so elegant, it's so refined. I love him. He's like the angel of the pianists. It's one of my, you know, more beloved albums from the last sort of decade. You know, I know her very well. We're good friends, and I sometimes play with her partner. Skúli Sverrisson was a wonderful, wonderful electric bassist. Actually, Björk loves Ólaf, and I can see why, because Ólaf does things her own way. This album is really an amazing troubadour album. You know, she just has this kind of simplicity, and she sings these Icelandic lyrics, and they just go straight to your heart. Yeah, this is an album that was in my childhood home, certainly. This is probably the first recording of the Chopin Etudes that I listened to. It's still a milestone. I don't think there is a better recording of the Chopin Etudes, to be honest. It's an amazing album, and the cover is very beautiful, and it's sort of what this album is. Very clear colors, very pristine, almost a little cool, but incredible music making. It's etudes in a very poetic sense. From a pianistic perspective, these recordings of the young Pollini, they are simply incredible. Another one of my favorites would be his, Petrushka and the Prokofiev Seventh album. This is a special one. But he had something extraordinary going for him when he was making these recordings. And I think this has sort of been behind the back of my ear for so many years, and so many other pianists actually look to this. Maybe it's the reason why I have never recorded those etudes. I feel like they have been done so well. You listen to this piece and you go to a place, you go to a point in time and you go to a place within yourself. That's what Philip's music does. I know him, of course, quite well, having played, his etudes, recorded them and worked on them with him, and he's been a really big part of my repertoire for the last 3 or 4 years since I released my first DJ recording with his music. I love him, I love his openness, and I love, with these pieces, like the opening from Glassworks that I play quite a lot. What it does, it gives you space to find yourself and to reflect on who you are, and it gives you this opportunity to sort of meditate, to always try to find a new perspective, even if it's the same object. He proves that there is no such thing as repetition in music, not as long as time moves in a forward direction. My third album for Deutsche Grammophon, third solo album, and it took me a long time to research and to find out exactly how I wanted to have it. It's a dialogue between the two guys, and those are two of my favorite composers, and certainly Rameau was one of Debussy's favorite composers. It's set up so that, they're kind of listening to each other. So I start with the Debussy prelude, Rameau is listening, and then Rameau responds with something else, and then Debussy is like listening, and then something else comes. So each piece is followed, I hope, very logically with something. I think these two guys are much more connected than you think. Debussy was much more than impressionist. He was equally interested in Japanese drawing. He was extraordinarily refined. He was all about proportion and this kind of, and he loved the past. He said in one place, Rameau seems to be our contemporary, and that's why I wanted to make this album. They're like musical brothers, but separated by 180 years. They are guys who completely found their own way with music. You can never know what is around the next corner in this stuff. And with this album, I hope to maybe bring the music of Rameau to a much wider audience. It's really one of the greatest keyboard, composers of all time. I prefer him to Handel and to Scarlatti. I think, he's up there with Bach. It's incredible poetry, incredible nuance, an incredible way of writing for the piano. Debussy, I want to show that he has very deep roots in the Baroque, deep roots in Rameau, and he knows exactly what he is doing. He was not just a guy who was into color and space. He was agonizing over detail. He could not submit his pieces for publication. So they are two kind of like incredibly individual guys, but that's how you guys are in France. You always find your own way, don't you?